me so low, but I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I finally take my stand. I didn't wanna fall, but I don't have to crawl. I'm not the one with two star hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this plane. I've been born again.
Hi, and welcome to Fresh Black Coffee for March 25th, 2023. I'm David Van. I'm actually here at the Sooner Politics set for where I do production for SoonerPolitics.org. Eddie and I are both kind of on the road and out and about this week. Beautiful spring weather. I actually went to the Tulsa County Republican Convention today. It was a great opportunity to connect with lawmakers. Some of them we're quite familiar with at Fresh Black Coffee. State Superintendent Public Instruction Ryan Walters was a guest of the convention today. We got a little bit of his time to talk about what's happening on some key education reform measures, some great opportunities and great news coming in that front. Then we talked to Dave Rader. He is the former college football coach at the University of Tulsa, who is now one of our state senators. He's actually my state senator now. So we talked tax policy with him, and then we wrapped it up with the chairman of today's Republican convention, State Senator Nathan Dahm, who's a dear friend of mine for over 10 years now. So I hope you enjoy a little of it. Then next week we'll be back in studio with Eddie for our regular installment of Fresh Black.Coffee. Now, let's go into the auditorium where Ryan Walters is addressing the delegates.
I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to read you a tweet that was sent to me on the way here. So, I don't know, again, if you, in the board meeting, here's what I did, just to expose the lies of the media. I took pictures from these graphic books that were found in Oklahoma schools, and I put them on the screens, and I handed them out to all of the press in the room and said, you know what, guys? Put that on the news tonight.
Amen.
Okay? Why don't you go and show all your viewers, this is what Republicans are talking about. This is what parents are talking about. This is the filth they don't want in their classroom. So, this is from an NPR journalist today. Someone sent this to me. She said, during the board meeting, Superintendent Walters encouraged those media outlets to show their viewers the illustrations that he showed us. As someone who was there and ran it by a manager, there is no way I could do that.
No.
It was just too sexually graphic.
Yeah.
Our viewers could have small children in the room.
Exactly.
It would be inappropriate.
Drop the mic.
Okay. That's why those books shouldn't be in our schools.
Amen!
You know, like kids tease me. All right, we're here with State Superintendent of Public Instruction, I believe. McAllister's own Ryan Walters, it's good to see you. So, busy time of the year at the Capitol. Tell me how your agenda, your priorities, how are they working out?
Yeah, I'm really excited where we are. I know with the legislature, we've got a massive school choice bill moving forward to make sure that every parent has options for where their kids go to school. We've got a merit pay bill moving forward as well so that our best teachers can make more money. And we've got multiple bills that address the reading initiatives that I have been pushing for to ensure that every child knows how to read by 4th grade. So I'm really excited about that. And at our State Department, we've passed some rules to get pornography out of schools and to give parents more access to the materials into the conversations going on in schools, and so we are moving in the right direction, but we got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, in fact, I caught a video of that. You just got done speaking at the Tulsa County Republican Party. You shared that whole story about even the media says, no, we can't put that on. We'd get in trouble with the FCC, things like that. But yet it's okay for an 8-year-old kid to check those books and videos and that kind of stuff out?
Yeah, you know, David, the media has been so disingenuous and they're just lied to people. They've tried to act like Republicans are wanting to ban Huckleberry Finn when in reality it's graphic pornography. But they do this because they won't actually show the images.
Yeah.
They just want to say, oh, well, Republicans are choosing these books. So on my board meeting, I show the images of the books we're talking about and told them to show their viewers what we're talking about. I've got reporters tweeting at me saying, well, we can't show that on TV. I mean, there might be a kid watching. And that's exactly the point, is these are in our schools, these are in our libraries. It's grossly inappropriate, but this is part of the Biden agenda to indoctrinate your kids and break down the family unit.
Okay, so answer this for me. This comes from my son Charlie and my other son Jonathan. They have kids that it's getting too tight to cover private education for them. They want their kids to have a good education. There's hope, there's help on the way if it gets through the legislature. If the bill that allows for a tuition tax credit, refundable, if the legislature passes that, my understanding is it has an emergency clause. It could very well be part of next fall's funding, right, for the state?
Sir. Yep.
Okay, talk to parents, talk to people like Charlie and Jonathan. What can they hope for, and what does their legislature need to hear from them?
Yep. What your legislature needs to hear from you is that you want options as a parent. That you want to make sure that if you want to choose to send your child to a private school, that money that you pay as a taxpayer can actually follow your child. And the bill we're looking at right now would come in the form of a tax credit that you get within 60 days from the tax commission. So it would actually be you wouldn't have to wait a year to get it. It would be much quicker once your child enrolled with a private school.
Gotcha.
And so, but again, the fundamental belief that I have is that parents know best for their kids.
Right.
And we want parents to be able to decide. And if that's the local public school, that's great. But if it is a private school, that's also great for a parent to be able to make that decision. So, but we've got to get the legislature to have the sense of urgency to pass it this session.
Okay, and the legislature, sometimes they act like junior high kids, and they talk about unruly agencies, and I sometimes laugh. But we've got good friends, and you've got a lot of help over there, right? They're helping get your agenda passed. So, talk to me about homeschoolers. I homeschooled my kids all the way through. There's help for them as well, but a little bit different, right?
Yes, sir. So the current bill is $2,500 tax credit for homeschoolers for certain, things that they could purchase there.
Okay, so they have to have receipts on that, just like tuition is a receipt. You have to prove that you spent it, and you'll get reimbursed.
Yes, sir. That's the way the current bill's currently written. And so again, if a parent wants to stay home and educate their kid, we need to be encouraging parents to spend more time with their children. So we think this is great. If you want to homeschool your child and you have the ability to do so and the desire to do so, we want to make sure that the parents, you're going out and you're purchasing textbooks, and you think about it, as your kids get older, you'd have to buy math books, science books. Give them the ability to purchase the things so that they can be at home with their child and give them an education.
One last question. Don't mean to get in the weeds, but just like the Opportunity Scholarship Fund.
Yes, sir.
There are certain private schools that are set up. There's others who are not a part of that, whether they don't have accredited teachers or whatever, right?
Sure.
How are they going to factor into this equation? Will they be treated like a homeschool if they're not an accredited private school with the state, not registered with the state?
That's a great question. And so what we're looking at currently, that they would not be eligible for this, because right now it is the accredited private schools. That could change, but right now currently the way it would work is that would be an accredited private school. So once you enrolled, it would be more instantaneous, so that money would be received.
Right.
And then the other things would be eligible outside of that.
Could they not have the same reimbursement mechanism as a homeschooler?
Yes.
So the $2,500 is a possibility, but we got to wait to see what the legislation looks like when it gets to the governor's desk.
Yeah.
And I understand the governor has voiced his support, right?
Sure. And this is a House plan. The governor and I have come out and supported it. The Senate has some great ideas that they want to add on, that they want to pass as well. So this will be a great conversation to be had, because again, I like a lot of the things coming out of the Senate as well. And so we'll see kind of what the ultimate package looks like. But I'm going to tell you, the package that's coming out of the House right now is really great. And there's things in there for everyone. It really gives us the reform with the investment. That's what I've heard this from people all over the state. Listen, if we're going to invest more in education, we have got to reform the system. And we've got some of that here, and I know the Senate's talking about adding more reform to it as well, which is fantastic.
Okay.
So I think we're in a great spot now. Encourage your House members, your senators. We want this done. There's a sense of urgency. Our kids need it now. Our parents deserve it now. So let's get this across the finish line.
Okay, and so we're urging people to get with your legislator, let them know this is a priority. This is not a time for junior high antics and things. It's time for everybody, House and Senate, to work together.
Yes, sir. Let's get everybody to work together.
Okay.
We've got great partners in both chambers, so I want us to all get together, and I am very confident, I'm very optimistic that we're going to get this across the finish line.
All right. Thank you so much, and look forward to hearing what's going on down the road.
I always appreciate you, Dave. Tell Eddie I said hi.
Yes. All right. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to Fresh Black Coffee. Eddie Huff's on assignment. This is David Mann. I'm actually on assignment to the Tulsa County Republican Party, and we have a former party leader here. What was your role back in the day?
Vice chairman.
You were, county vice chairman. You stepped it up when there was a need, and now that launched you into a Senate career, right?
Well, there's a little break in there, but it allowed me to gain knowledge
Yeah.
of the party, and not the Republican Party in general, but the party here and how it works and how we put precincts together, things like that. So it was very, very beneficial, and it was very quite valuable in understanding some of how politics works.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And, I think back in your former life, you actually coached some football. In fact, I seem to remember a visiting team went to Owen Field in '96, was it?
Appreciate you bringing that up. That was a good day.
That was a highlight,
That was a fun day.
to go into Boomer Sooner land and take home a win.
That was fun.
I still remember where I was painting the house
Is that right?
and listening to the game. Those are days you don't forget.
It was a beautiful fall afternoon.
It was an even more beautiful late
Thank you for bringing that one up. There's a lot more you could have brought up, so I'm glad you did.
Well, anyway, so yeah, you hung up the cleats and the coaching hat and the whistle, and you went into community service. You served in a number of ways, including in the party. And then the day came to enter into the Senate. Now, this has been a few years. You're in your second term, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is session number 7 for me.
Yeah, and here we are, 2023. You've got some bills, I'm sure, that you're championing, then you're partnering with some other people.
Right.
What are the things that are on your table right now, on your desk?
See, some of the bills I put forward were, like the third time, we're trying to work with the county to expand their margins.
Tell me what that means. Margins in what way?
On their letterhead.
Oh,
We have, the state has to approve it, so that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Some of the bills you carry,
Yeah.
just don't do that much, but they have so many stamps they put on there, they need to change the margins. So it was it faced a COVID death a couple of years ago, so we're trying to do it again. So I just brought that one up because sometimes you do bills that you think, where did that come from?
yeah.
And I did a couple of recommendations from the Incentive Evaluation Commission, trying to reduce some of the tax incentives we have out there. And so some of them just don't work and some of them aren't used anymore. So we had a couple of those that we're doing. I handle a lot of bills from because being the chairman of the Finance Committee, that the Tax Commission has to try to tweak their language and try to become more customer friendly for the taxpayer on that. And then that led me to be a chairman of the off-season committee that we looked at tax reform. And so that's what I really have been working on. We don't have a bill yet because we're trying to communicate and discuss with the House.
Oh, that's a challenge right now,
Right,
isn't
on
it?
what tax reform there might be.
Sure.
So what our group, and on the Senate side, we wanted to simplify the tax code. We wanted to make it more fair, and we're shooting for revenue neutral, realizing then that we can negotiate or a reform. And so we feel like as Republicans that income tax, we're talking about personal tax, and now income tax is a tax that I want to say immoral, but maybe that's too strong, but it is a tax that, as a conservative, we feel like it's not fair.
Sure.
And that it's just not fair to tax a person's
Yeah, it's
Their salary.
disincentivizing, isn't it?
So is there a way, because we understand that Oklahoma was, we're going back in the history lesson now, Oklahoma was set up as a progressive state, as a progressive constitution, and for 100 years we had Democrat rule, and this is how we did taxes all those times. It was have a tax rate, give you a deal. Have a tax rate, give me a deal.
Oh, yeah.
And we do deals.
A lot of those deals.
We don't.
Yeah,
We're saying that, we don't like tax systems that hurt the state, pick winners, and it's not accessible to the majority of Oklahomans. So
yeah, half of my
wanna
state
do
tax return, if you give all the important details on the front side, then I flip over and I see all of the special deals for special
Right.
interests. And then all the begging for donations if I even have anything coming back. So yeah, there's that. Here's another tax increase that I think is landing in the Senate. Tulsa, we developed our own 911, Oklahoma City, most large cities did. And then before you got there, I believe it was, Josh Cockcroft came up with a bill for the state to take over 911. I guess ostensibly because there were some remote rural areas that didn't have it yet. And they increased our phone bill from 25 cents to 75 cents.
Here?
Yes, all of Oklahoma. This is before you got there. To 75 cents for the 911 fee.
Okay.
Now there's a bill, Jim Grego actually is one of the sponsors, that's going to raise it this session from 75 cents to $1.25, a 67% tax increase. Or they want to call it a user fee. Some of us are aware of that. And what we see, the tax decreases and tax breaks, and we take a look, where is that consistent with the 67% increase?
I'm glad you told me. I'm not aware of that bill that's coming out of the House.
Yes.
We'll have a flag up looking for
And
that.
here's the other thing on that. Most of the taxes that are going to be collected for each phone line is going to come from a metropolitan area that didn't get any state help building their own local 911.
That's a good.
But now, and the way I said it to Senator Stanislawski when he first voted for it, I gave him a chewing out, and he agreed with it. I said, when someone wants to live out in the country and they want good, clean water, they start a rural water district. But they don't make the city pay for their rural water. If that's part of it, you want to live out there, that's what you do.
These are all good points.
Does that make me cold-hearted? I don't know, But
I
again,
didn't know that bill was out there.
yeah, well, it's coming. So
And it passed the House.
it did. It did, yeah.
Interesting.
You know what? I'm sure
Well,
I'm sure it marvels you some of the things that pass the House.
I marvel you all the time. Some things I vote for,
Yeah.
but the conversation to continue to say, here, think about this, Dave, is one of the things that I really like talking with you about, because I think I can become a better legislator when I listen to the constituents. I mean, that's what we try to do. All right, so when that happens, then you have a flag up and you say, we'll be looking for it.
Well, here's the thing. No legislature can come there the first week of February having read all the bills.
No.
Because even if you do, they probably get amended 4 or 5 times. So I appreciate it, and I agree. This is part of the partnership a constituent has with their elected leaders.
You brought up, you're alluding to a point, you didn't bring that, you alluded to the point about the rural-urban breakdown that there is, because, really 3 counties have half the people.
Yeah.
And the taxes coming out of those counties go all over the state. This is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to be careful of that, because that's where the people are. And so it's just so easy to go where they are and raise their taxes and then let it spread out to the other 74 counties. Am I saying
it's a
what you're
tough
saying?
deal, and you don't want to be cold-hearted, but
No,
it's
you want to be
reality.
fair, and that's what we're saying about this tax code. We want to be fair,
Yeah.
And fair, for most of us, fair means it's okay if you pay taxes, but it's not okay for me. And I'm trying to eliminate that. So fair is we're both paying a couple bucks.
So I just got done, the last item on my list to ask you about, I just got done talking to Ryan Walters. There is the hope of some relief for families. I've got 6 grandkids. All 6 of them go to private school because we love them enough to give them whatever we can. It's become a hardship now to handle that, especially when the 4-year-old's getting ready to go, and he'll keep gonna. I see legislation to bring a tuition tax credit, which is equitable. But the only concern is, like you talked about, is cooperating between the two houses of the legislature so that we get something that does give relief this year to parents. And so I guess what my concern is it would be a terrible blight on the integrity of our legislature if it doesn't happen, and for no other reason than just some stubbornness and junior high antics, which you and I both have seen happen at the Capitol, and it's time to do the people's business and stuff. Do you see a bill coming for a floor vote that's going to give some relief to families paying private school tuition?
I'm beyond hopeful. I'm confident that bill will be on the floor this year. It's not there yet. There's negotiations that are going to have to take place.
Yeah.
And we'll hammer it out. I think we all kind of see where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. But I really believe that will happen.
Yeah.
I am of the persuasion that when we talk about education for our children, it's not an either or, it's an and.
Yeah.
Because when I campaign and parents say, give me an option, I want to go back and vote for options.
Yeah.
When I campaign and I have parents say, help our schools that we are now, I want to go back and help the schools that we have now.
And I think we're doing both.
We can do both.
Yeah.
And so yes, I think that we can do this expanded help for those that want the option.
Yeah.
And I think we can increase the teacher pay.
I believe so. Yeah.
Because
and a merit pay. You support that?
That we voted on that Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes. And it may have been along party lines.
Yeah.
But yes, I voted for it. And the senator that was working on it did a really fine job of putting some A's and B's in there.
What committees are you focusing on?
I chair the finance committee. I sit on the education committee, and I sit on the energy committee.
Okay, now finance committee, that's separate from appropriations, right?
We're supposed to deal with what's coming in. Appropriations supposed to deal with what's coming out.
Okay.
To do that.
Oh, you're kind of ways and means.
Kind of that way.
Right.
And then on the energy committee, that was one of the bills that I carried this year. Is that we think that we're trying to put our arms around this carbon sequestration thing, and if the state can sequester carbon and there's tax or carbon credits out there, the state should receive it. So we're trying to work in that way, because if we can do these types of things and help the state, and so that's some of the things we're doing in energy. I forgot to talk about that. They were very important.
Last thing, what are some of your bipartisan successes? I'm sure there's fine people across the aisle.
Yeah. Well, one of the main ones was when we put a lasso around the opioid prescriptions. Yeah. And we put a lasso on that to say, we're writing too many prescriptions in this. So we brought it back in, and then when it came back the next year, say, hey, we have some chronically pain patients that we still need to give them help. So we had to tweak the law. Yeah, we did. And we had bipartisan support to do that. And that was very, very important. That to me was very, very important. Was the opioid thing. So I want to always point to that on that. Another one was health related, where we had a bill that said you and your doctor have agreed on to what schedule you would have for your medicine, but the insurance company says, no, we want you to use our schedule.
Tell me about it. I hear that.
So the law is you and your doctor make that decision. The insurance company has to follow mine. That was another good bipartisan.
That is. That's fantastic. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Dave.
Thanks for coming here.
All right, thanks.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to Fresh Black Coffee. This is David Van on the road. Eddie's on the road this morning. We're at the Tulsa County Republican Convention. I'm here with Senator Nathan Dahm. Senator Dahm's been a good friend. I remember, it was 13 years ago you first ran for the Senate. We started out actually kind of as enemies. I ran Santorum's.
We were on different campaigns, not necessarily enemies.
Yeah, well, I didn't trust you.
You did invite me to come and speak at your daughter's graduation.
A year later,
yeah.
So
I eventually did that.
Anyway, tell me how are things going in the Senate?
in some ways better than expected, in some ways not as well as expected, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There still are factions in the Oklahoma State Senate. There's still conservatives, there's still moderates, there's still a lot of liberals that are registered Republicans in the state Senate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of them are of the opinion that if we just spend more money behind government programs, that's what will solve the problem. In fact, I had a bill that would protect individuals' right to an internal combustion engine and a gas stove, and the second in command in the Oklahoma State Senate, the Republican, got up and debated against it and said we should leave it up to local control. If a city wants to ban these substances, they should be able to ban a gas stove. And so I pointed out that when they talk about local control, that's still the government controlling the lives of the individuals.
Yeah.
And we as Republicans, because he was mocking small government Republicans, I said we as small government Republicans understand that the individual is the smallest form of government, and we're supposed to protect individual rights. So there's still a lot of people up in the state capitol that don't understand their job is to protect the rights of the people. They think that they are up there to be dictators in their own domain, unfortunately. So there's some good that has come out of the Senate bills that we did get passed over to the House. The House passed some good bills over to us. So we're just a third of the way through the process right now.
Okay. I want to be sure my Bluetooth is off here. I listened in the news this week, Senator Grego's trying to raise our fees on our mobile devices by 67%. Won't that go to vote of the people unless you get a 3/4 vote in the Senate?
So there have been some challenges on that. All tax increases are supposed to go to a vote of the people.
Or revenue-raising measures.
Revenue-raising measures, but there have been some ways that they've gotten around that by just increasing the fees. I generally vote no on every single fee increase or even every single licensing increase. That's the other way that they get around that, is they'll have it as a license, and that's a way that they try to circumvent that requirement. I remember several years ago, Senator Bice, before she got to Congress, she introduced a new fee that was a electric vehicle fee. The court threw that out because it was obviously a tax increase. I voted no on it, but it still passed. So they're always trying to find ways to circumvent the Constitution.
They call it a license, yet you don't sign up for it. It gets billed every month in your phone bill. 67%. Now, you were part of a battle. I think you voted against it. I asked my favorite senator from my district, Gary Stanislawski, voted for it. It tripled it. This was a Cockroft bill that after the metropolitan areas paid for their own 911 system, now we got to pay for the rest of the state. And most of this tax money is going to come from metropolitan areas to pay for folks who want to live out in the rural areas. And, I just remember people, when they want to live out in the country and want good water, they start their own rural water district. And the city people don't pay for the rural water district. So anyway, this is my soapbox issue on it. And let us know how that goes. We need to get you back in studio.
It's a House bill, so it hasn't come over to the Senate yet. So I'm tracking that and watching that.
My understanding is Greg has been pushing it. Hey, howdy. So, all right, beyond that, we've got education measures. There's Adam Pugh now is chairing the Education Committee. And then it's just a matter of, Ryan Walters got a lot of things going on. What do you like most about what Ryan Walters trying to get done?
That he's not backing down. I mean, he's being very, very vocal. Those on the left are very upset at him for that. And truthfully, even when I say those on the left, several of the moderate Republicans that are on the left are upset about him. There's this idea of, well, we're elected to govern. And when they say we're elected to govern, what they mean is we're elected to just have decorum and to run people's lives and to do all this stuff. We can't be controversial like President Trump was. We can't call out the lies, or we have to, if we do it, we have to do it with decorum. And no, sometimes when it's just a falsehood, it just needs to be called a falsehood. It needs to be called a lie. And we need to be bold with the truth. So he's been doing a lot of that in the things that he's pushing for and the reforms that Ryan Walters is advocating for. I know he's going to be at the county convention here today. I'm excited to hear from him and everything. I got to know him on the campaign trail. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. He's stirring things up and kind of overturning some apple carts and sacred cows that aren't supposed to be done. And so I appreciate his boldness in that.
Appreciate you stepping up to chair today. You're the appointed convention chairman. You've done great in the past. I look forward to that. Thank you for taking time to be with the party infrastructure. Of course. Good knowing you and good seeing you.
Glad to be back in studio sometime here soon.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed our show today. I think it's been a great opportunity to get a sense of what's happening here in Oklahoma, how much has gotten done and how much is yet to be done. So we'll talk again with Eddie next week in studio. Until then, hope you're enjoying this beautiful Oklahoma spring. We'll see you next week on Black.Coffee.
Leave the light so everything that I know says I gotta go, tired of going solo, but I'm never gonna go there again.